cuts.
No cuts.
No edits.
No edits. This is unabridged. Director's cut. Special edit.
What does director's cut mean?
I think it means like what the director initially intended before the producers and
everyone got involved.
Yeah, before they were like, cut that, take that out. This is gonna offend the Chinese. This is gonna offend the gays.
Have you
not enough blacks.
Have you ever seen something that's director's cut?
Blade Runner. Blade Runner's. The director's cut's always either like a little bit longer, or there's just like more scenes that they took out, or maybe they'll change like the flow. They did that with like the Justice League movie. They ended up releasing a whole different movie, and it was like black and white. It was weird. It was so weird. They should do more director's cuts. I think that would be fun.
Yeah. There's
a lot of movies that you watch, and you're like, there could be a director you really like, and you're like, they could have done a little bit better somehow, and you're like,
which movie?
Someone held them back. I think like Dune was one where I was like, there has to be a Denis Villeneuve cut, because I know he has more. There's more to him, like, but
more
he has
vision.
Yeah, there's more vision, and there's also more like source material too you can take from. I don't know. That's just an example. There's a lot of other movies, They should do like Star Wars uncut, like director's cuts versions. That would be sick. There's a lot of shit they took out.
I haven't watched Star Wars recently.
Yeah.
But I feel like because it's so Disney-fied, it's very polished now.
Super Disney-fied. It's so crazy that
because I mean, obviously we were watching The Mandalorian, and
yeah, that's pretty.
It was cute, right? But I thought it was very Disney-fied.
I mean, Grogu's pretty Disney, right? Like,
yeah.
They take a cute.
Yeah.
Little character, and he's super cute. I love him. I want to protect him.
He's Kobe.
He is like Kobe.
Don't give him attention right now.
No, he's a timeout. He's a bad boy.
Yeah, I feel like
super Disney-fied.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'd want to see a director's cut of.
Yeah, maybe the older stuff. The newer stuff, yeah, a lot of people are not happy with it, including like the old people who are part of it, like Mark Hamill.
I was gonna just say, like, I felt like I liked, and it's annoying because it's also a Disney movie.
What?
I liked Black Panther too, but I just felt like there was, well, I liked the first one a lot, and then
the first one was good.
It was really good, and then the second one I liked it, but I just felt like it could have been so much better.
Oh yeah, it could have been better. Even the soundtrack could have been better. Like,
yeah.
Oh man, I was like, what are you singing? You let me out.
Yeah, it just could have been so much better.
It could have been a lot better, and especially like off the heels of like the first one, like could have just been way better.
Yeah.
I like the villain. Like,
I was just about to say
he was
that.
dope.
He was
he
cool.
was Mexican too.
Yeah.
I like that they made him Mexican. He's traditionally not. He's not Mexican in the comics. He's a white guy. He's technically the first Marvel.
I thought it was really nice
comic.
to have like so much culture in that movie. I just thought they could have done so much more with the characters, or just like even just I don't know how they went about the whole movie. It was a little too fast for me.
Like they wrapped it up too quick.
Yeah.
Like they built up to this conflict and then they wrapped it up like all easy. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
They do that a lot now. The Disney stuff. They do like their old movies. Like they build up all this conflict and it's like super like happy ending after all type shit. Yeah. It doesn't work for like comics and Star Wars and things like that.
Yeah.
It comes off too like soft. Like why? If you're gonna make all these movies, then what's wrong with the cliffhanger?
True.
What's wrong with that? How come nobody does cliffhangers anymore? They
just leave it.
They leave these like solid endings and they give you like a scene at the end. That's supposed to be your cliffhanger.
It's like coming back and it's like then it's
you gotta wait for the credits to see the cliffhanger.
There's almost like a formula to all these Disney movies now.
Super formulaic, and people are getting like sick of it because there's too many like superhero movies. There's no like original movies.
I'm so overwhelmed with like Marvel movies.
Yeah,
as much.
So
At first, I really liked them, and then I was just like, no, there's just too much going on. Everyone has like this last scene clip in the credits,
and then everyone's waiting in the theater. Remember, like when it first started happening, you weren't sure, and you're like, "Is there gonna be a scene?" And then eventually, you like took it like It was a given, like, oh,
you know how it's like when you're eating tacos and you drop a little piece of meat and then you finish the taco and then you look down and you're like, oh, there's a little piece of meat.
A little piece of meat left. That's good.
With some juice, some taco juice.
A little tortilla.
That was like what the little last scene of the credits was.
That's how it is now.
And now they're just like overdoing it.
Yeah. Before it used to be a good sized piece of food left over. A good morsel you forgot. Now it's just like a little.
Now it's just so expected that it's like,
It's like
I'll just watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, seriously, you just watch it on YouTube, and then it's gonna get spoiled anyways. Like if you go on social media.
Right.
Yeah, and you know, like, I'm always gonna watch those Marvel movies because I'm just like a dork and I like comics and shit. So I'll watch all of them, even if it sucks. I'll watch it and I'll just finish it, and like I'm such a fan that I'm just happy to see things that like I read in comic books play out in a movie. But after the fact, when you're like, this actually sucked, because
when you think about it and judgment.
Yeah, and you're like, they left out this and that, and they made this person really weak just to like serve as a plot point, and it's just like you see how they kind of like Disney's like a pervert. They just perverse things, like they skew like storylines and shit just to like sell a little more, or like pinch a little bit more money out of it.
True. And
they're like so like strategic, like the way they do it, because you see like the DC movies are just like, it's like someone's just like throwing fucking spitballs at the wall for their shit, and just, how many Supermans are we gonna do? They're like on the 10th Batman, like,
oh god,
and there's gonna be like a new Batman coming out and a new Superman because they like are recasting them, and like they're still gonna have the Robert Pattinson Batman at the same time as another Batman. Like, how many fucking Batman does there need to be?
Multiverse.
The multiverse. Yeah, and the multiverse is like, the thing is like, people are like casual fans are like, oh my god, everything's multiverse, but this is all actual shit that happens in the comic books. Like, this is not like a new thing. Like like 20 years ago, Marvel and DC started doing these multiverse things where in the comics they introduced like, oh, there's another universe with different versions of the characters. So it already existed like that, and they both, I don't know who copied who, but one of them copied the other one, and they just like kept doing it. They even had crossovers where DC and Marvel would cross over.
They should do that more often. They
should, yeah, but I don't think they could ever do it, right? Just like, you know, like the Spider-Man. They couldn't make any movies with Tobey Maguire in them for years until Disney acquired the rights to those Sony films, because Sony was the one who did it,
right.
So then they're like, oh, we got it, now we can put in Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire with Tom Holland in a movie. And everyone loved it. It was a sick movie. We saw it, remember? It was pretty dope. And then they brought Willem Dafoe back, and what's his name? That was good. The guy that plays Diego Rivera?
Yeah. I forgot his name.
I forgot his name, too. But he's a good actor, too. They got these two good actors that come back to play, like...
You know what I learned about Salma Hayek is that... when they had the idea for Frida, the movie, that they were actually going to cast a white woman to play Frida.
Oh my god, it's so insulting.
It was like multiple actresses that I know, but the one that stood out was Madonna, was one of the potential actresses that was going to play Frida.
Why? Because of her mole?
No.
Like, what about her?
It's just because she was popular at the time, I'm assuming. Like, they were looking for someone.
That would come off so dated now to watch that, huh?
Right?
Madonna?
And so, Madonna? Salma Hayek pitched herself.
Oh, shit.
And they said no. What? Initially, they told her no. But she was, like, so persistent about playing this role.
Yeah.
And I don't know the actual, like, details, or I don't remember all the details, but I think someone bought the rights to that film.
Oh, before it got done.
Before it got done, and she actually recruited that Diego Rivera actor.
Yeah. Alfred Molina.
That's his name?
Yeah.
And he agreed to do it with her.
Yeah.
And so she pitched both of them together.
They were a good fit.
And they were able to do the film.
They
And
did such a
it
good
just
job.
it just like took a lot of work from her to keep saying like, this is my role, like I
Yeah.
need to do this role. And at the time, there hadn't been like I don't know if it's Latina, but a Mexican actress to play a main character.
Oh, wow.
In like, I think she was like one of the few during that time.
She was the lead.
Yeah, she was the lead character.
Damn, I never even thought about that. She
Yeah.
was like an OG lead in a Hollywood film, like
Yeah.
a mainstream Hollywood film.
Yeah.
That was a good ass film. And she
It
did a
was.
good job, and she like did a good job of like, she was so hot at that time, and they totally like, they didn't even like lean on her sexuality or her body in that movie at all.
Right.
Like they totally like, I don't want to say dumb her down, but they made her like, you know, look like Frida. They gave her
Right.
like the facial hair and stuff like that, all like the Frida-isms.
Mm-hmm.
So she could just focus on her portraying like one of the most
Right.
fascinating artists in
Yeah.
Mexican history.
I thought that was really interesting about her.
That's super interesting. That makes me like her even more. And Alfred Molina too. I like him.
He was a really good actor in that movie.
He did a good job playing like how much of an asshole Diego Rivera was to his wife. He just like felt overshadowed by her and like.
Right, and I think
try to
that's
control
a
her.
normal role that men fit when they feel emasculated or just
Yeah.
feel
Well,
like
they were in the same.
maybe belittled.
Yeah.
Or just like, I don't know, like they feel some sort of like competition between
Yeah.
their spouse or partner.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's such a,
I mean, they were competition, yeah, right?
yeah,
Even though they're
but
such
it's
different
just
artists.
like, it makes like some men feel like less than their wife when their wife is the star. Or
Yeah.
like the wife is the breadwinner or something like that, you know?
Mm. Yeah, I can see why. That makes sense. A lot of men are not like, you know, comfortable with the woman being more cool, successful, and, you know. Men just assume that like they're cooler than women. It's kind of funny.
Do you assume, or have you ever?
I
Be
definitely
honest.
I definitely don't assume. However, when I was younger, I did assume that I like the stuff I had to say was interesting. Like that like I had something to like show
Right.
or like explain about. And I wasn't like trying to mansplain shit. I was just stoked about stuff I wanted to talk about and like to share. And I think like with my homies and shit, I was like I didn't feel like, oh, I could just sit here and like just talk about some shit I'm interested in. So if I found a girl that was like interested in me, I would like, if she gave me the opportunity to, I would start talking about something I'm interested in and then go on about it and, you know, like force them to listen to me.
Yeah.
Explain some shit that they might already know about, you know.
Ooh.
You know, now I think about it, makes me feel like self-conscious that I might have done that sometimes. But also, you know, like, you could have spoken up and been like, I know about that, you know, fucking maybe. But like,
Oh my god.
I didn't intend to do it, you know, like, because I liked when I would, you know, like with you, like, I feel like I have done that. Obviously, you know, like, it's hard not to do it sometimes when you're a man.
Right.
It's hard not to just find yourself explaining shit to women sometimes.
Yeah, you still do that.
Yeah, I'm guilty of it for sure. I'm not gonna sit here and act. I think if you're a guy and you sit there and you act like you don't do that, you're full of shit. Cause like, it's like whether you are aware of it or not, it's happening, and it happens probably all the time. Just like to the degree it happens, obviously is important. Like context is important.
Right.
I'm not doing it like a fucking some asshole. Like I just sometimes just assume you don't know what I'm talking about because it might be something super dorky that I feel like I spent a lot of time like. Even it was weird that I even spent time to read into, and then you know about it. I'm like, oh.
Right.
I try to be more aware of it now.
Yeah, because it's annoying and I've called you out on it so many times.
Yeah, and I want to be accountable.
Yeah. Don't just assume.
Yeah, I don't want to just assume and make an ass out of you and me. Try not to do that no more.
I know, now that you're bringing that up, it almost kind of irks me. Like, almost like,
Me?
all over again. Yeah.
Me too? Wow.
I'm just like, you're reminding me of moments where I've just been like, yeah, I know about that.
Okay.
Why are you explaining this to me?
Because it's like, if you know about it, it's so interesting. Why come you don't tell anybody about it? Talk about it.
I don't know.
Not you
Okay?
specifically. I'm just like saying.
I talk so much sometimes.
I know.
To be fair, also you have a bad memory, so
I have a terrible memory.
you don't remember half of the things I say, and then, like the other day, what was it?
I remember a lot of things you say. Sometimes it depends what it is. I might remember one day like clearly, and the next day, I might be like so, like foggy with my memory. I can't even, for a second, be like, wait, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just my, bipolar brain.
Yeah, you've never talked about your bipolar on this show.
Oh, shit.
Are you ready to today?
No.
I
guess.
Yes.
Depends.
What do you want to talk about?
What do I want to talk about?
Or how do you want to
I
talk
don't.
about it? I want to ease into this.
Well, let's talk about the memory thing since we're on that.
Mm-hmm.
That's easy. Like, it's similar to like ADHD people.
Do you think I have ADHD?
Yeah, you keep talking about this, and I'm pretty sure that you think you do, so you probably do have it, and if you don't, you're giving it to yourself.
I'm sick.
I don't know, to be honest, because
I don't think I do.
I've had.
I'm just kidding. Maybe I do.
You do, babe. I've had
like
different.
a mild version.
I've had like different doctors and different people over the years tell me that I probably also have ADHD, and then it's the two conflict with each other pretty harshly, And I know that it manifests differently for women than it does for men.
Well, another thing that I found interesting is that like a lot of people I've dated in the past, they have also had ADHD.
Yeah.
And it's funny because one of like those symptoms of like if you surround yourself with people with ADHD, you probably have some sort of attention disorder or ADHD.
Really? I've never heard that before.
Yeah. And so I found that interesting.
Then I probably have it for sure. Everyone I know has some form of it. And like some of them confirm too. Like most of my good friends probably suffer from some form of
attention disorder.
Yeah. And I see it. I know with men it's super prevalent, it's like it's a lot easier too to notice probably in men than it is in women.
Right.
But like what I was saying about the memory thing is like similar to ADHD stuff. My memory can be so foggy sometimes. It depends like if I'm in an episode or not, or if I'm manic, I can remember everything. And if I'm like not, if I'm like in a low.
I feel like you haven't been manic in a while.
Yeah, I haven't been on medication for a while, so I've just been like cruising on depression. And like my manic episodes are more sudden and surprising when I'm not medicated. And it can happen any moment. Like right now!
Yeah. My therapist said you probably have a mild form of bipolar disorder.
Yeah, I have bipolar 2. So...
No, a mild form of bipolar 2.
Yeah, I know. I have bipolar 2, which already is what most people... When most people think of bipolar, they don't think of bipolar 2. They think of bipolar 1, which is like...
Crazy.
Going to like, yeah, like getting arrested and going to the fucking mental hospital.
Right, because everyone experiences bipolar disorder differently, so not everyone's going to have the same story, which is why it's such a hard disorder to kind of take a picture of.
Yeah, and I think your therapist is also wrong for he doesn't even know me, he's never even met me, and he also has no idea, like, how it manifests or what thoughts I have or, like, what impulses I get, and you don't either, actually, most of it, you just know what you see, so, like, I think it's probably not a fair assessment. I wouldn't say I have it severe either, because clearly, like, I have control of my life somewhat without being medicated.
Well, even the doctors and people you've talked to say, they're surprised that you have control of yourself and, like, that you don't do stereotypical things that a person with bipolar disorder does or has.
Okay, yeah, well, they're surprised I'm, like, not fucking my life up.
Right, which is a thing that you can easily spiral into.
I think that's a fair assessment now because I do have more coping mechanisms and ways I deal now. But it's also kind of not fair because I've changed doctors so many times that I haven't had a consistent, like, someone to not monitor but to, like, observe and hear and see.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first got diagnosed and I was younger, it was at a time where it was, like, really bad. It was more apparent. It was more probably like, oh, like the doctor was more concerned by it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like, the doctor's not concerned by it because I'm not, like, homeless or, like, you know, jobless and trying to kill myself or something crazy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So.
I think you need to talk closer to the mic.
Hello. Yeah.
You're talking a little far.
Sorry.
Oh, God.
Hello. Yeah, it's good.
Hello? Hello?
Hello. Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
My check's over.
I'm getting too comfortable.
Too comfortable?
Yeah, because I'm looking at the waves.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's loud. I talk pretty loud.
Pretty low. Anyway.
Anyways.
Go on with your story of your life.
Of my life. I'm just saying about my memory before you start to doubt what's going on. You're a hater.
I'm not a hater. I'm just, that's
You're a doubter.
your reality.
You're doubting my reality. You and your therapist doesn't even know me.
He doesn't, but he hears me say things from my own experience, and I don't, like, try to, like, sugarcoat things. I try to be really honest. And so, I mean, yeah, he's not assessing you and diagnosing you with anything. He's just saying from his opinion and his perspective of what he's hearing about you.
Yeah, it's not severe.
Yeah.
It's clearly not because I have, like, you know, my life together somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not easy. It takes a lot of work to keep it like that.
Yeah.
It'd be very easy to just, like, ruin it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd have to just try not to do that all the time. Pretty much every day.
So what's your experience with that? When did you get diagnosed?
When I was 24, I think, 24.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be 31 in September. I was about 24, 7 years ago, 3, 5, yeah, but 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know, it's pretty crazy. I got diagnosed because I was going through a really crazy period of life.
You don't have to share all of it. Just,
I don't really want to share all of it. It's a little
I'm
too
not
crazy.
asking you to. I'm just like, you can
I needed help.
jump over.
Yeah, my life. I was at risk of a lot of things, and my life was not going well. And I took initiative, and I went to a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
It was like my life was like falling apart. So I didn't know what else to do, and you know, my parents encouraged it because they saw I didn't know what else to do, and that's all I could think of. This is all I could do to help me right now, and this will probably help me figure out some things. And you know, it took some years, you know, like continuing to see a doctor and finding ways to, like, cope with my existence and life, and analyzing my behaviors. And
Before
my
being
past.
diagnosed, did you ever analyze yourself?
You know,
Or your
I didn't. I wasn't as self-aware.
Mm.
I think I was more just, like, content and just accepting of whoever I was, and I didn't think there was an issue with it. And it's because I was young enough that, like, the consequences of it were initially, you know, like, as a teenager, the consequences weren't so serious, and as I got older, the consequences started getting worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
And worse things started happening. And after a while, it's like you can't ignore it because you realize, where's your life going to go if you continue to just be like unchecked, you know?
Right.
And so I took initiative and I saw a doctor because I wasn't happy. And that's what most people should do when they're not happy.
Yeah, think about other reasons why you're not happy and
Yeah, I think you should go see someone like a therapist and
talk about it.
talk about it and figure out why you don't feel good.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like happy, like no one could be like happy every day. There's no fucking way. But I mean like at peace with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not at peace with yourself, then that means you have some learning to do and you have a lot of problems to solve inside.
Yeah, I tend to think that the people that are less aware with themselves are probably not as at peace with themselves.
People are not as aware.
Yeah.
Maybe,
What do you think? Because
Well,
you hear that, like, ignorance is bliss.
yeah, I agree with that. Because I think when like I said before, I started noticing the consequences. I
You're
thought
happy?
I was not like happy. I just thought it was normal to be feeling the way I felt.
Mm-hmm.
And to go through those cycles. I thought that was normal.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize there's something wrong with me.
Right.
And I didn't realize how much of like a burden that could be on people you love and care about. And
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think that if you have no like aspect of yourself that you're uneasy about, or like you're just perfectly content and at peace with who you are in your life, then you are probably not self-aware. Right? Because like even the really good people who are self-aware have something that they're not happy about. They're like trying to work on. They're insecure about. They're like
True.
working on. And if you're like an honest person and you're a good person, you actually will always feel you have something to work on, because you're not just settling with like this version of yourself that you think is already done and complete. Because like who's done,
True.
who's done changing and adapting and learning and growing,
Being better. Yeah.
yeah, you have to be growing like all the time, and it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
It hurts to grow because you have to change, and it hurts to change because things become easy and things are comfortable and things are like accessible, or people are see you a certain way. And
Mm-hmm.
when you're growing and changing and like trying to learn and unlearn, then you notice people don't stick around, people treat you differently,
Yeah.
people don't care.
True.
And then you start to realize like it kind of doesn't matter if people care or not. You have to care, and if you don't care, why the fuck would anybody else care?
Right.
So I was going through that, and I said I'm gonna get help.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm a lot older, and I do a decent job managing it, but it's also because I have to maintain risk.
Explain.
I have things like you and Kobe and a place to live and a job, and those if I don't balance and tend to those things, I could lose them.
Mm-hmm.
In order for me to tend to those things, those aspects of my life, those parts of them, like you and Kobe and my job and my family and where we live and stuff, like I have to take care of myself. And if I don't take care of myself and I don't keep myself in check and check in and be accountable and aware of like my cycles and what I'm going through and my impulses and my emotions, then I could lose all those things I care about that I work so hard to maintain.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fear. It's fear that keeps me in check, basically. As sad as it
Would
sounds.
you say that's good or bad? Or is it good for you?
It's good to be afraid. If you're not afraid, then like you have to be afraid to lose things. Like,
Yeah.
obviously at some point you have to forego all things, right? To really get to the next point, but that's not where I'm at.
Yes.
We're not like, I'm not trying to transcend reality or something. Like, I'm trying to just like, I want to we've already started. I want to continue living my life with you and like growing and building and have a family and a house and businesses and all these things. And like, you can't possibly ever afford the time, luxury, effort, any of the things that it takes to make those things happen without taking care of yourself.
Right.
And so I still think like I'm learning to take care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And you are as well, and you're helping me with that and showing me, you know, and we're showing each other ways to like love ourselves better and be just a good team, you know. But I'm appreciative and grateful for like you and Kobe and just my life. And you know, my friends are not so, they're not, this doesn't get put on them, you know.
So, right. What do you mean by that?
There's no risk there.
Oh.
You know, like
if you lose them?
I'm not gonna lose them from this stuff, you know?
Right.
There's just not enough at stake.
What advice would you give to people that aren't willing to compromise, or, for example, like men?
Yeah.
That are not willing to settle down but want a girlfriend, but they're also not willing to compromise with ideas. They're not willing to compromise with, I don't know, things that they enjoy about being a guy.
Yeah.
But they still want this idea of a relationship. Like, how do you think that's gonna work? Because
they want their cake and they want to eat it.
Yeah.
I think if you're not willing to compromise, and you're not a compromising person, you can't be in a relationship. That's just it. That's just it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to be willing to participate and compromise in a relationship. And not even just a romantic one. Just like any type of relationship you have of any substance.
Mm.
If it's not some superficial bullshit relationship that runs on just like bullshit, you have to compromise. You have to be willing to say, okay, and sometimes you have to say no and set boundaries, but it has to happen and be reciprocated on both ends, you know?
Because I've seen guys where they're like too embarrassed to, I don't want to say be, no, I'm not going to say that. I would say they're too embarrassed to be thoughtful or sweet or kind in front of their friends, like to show like how much they love their partner.
I think it's because they feel judged, like they feel like, I mean, I'll give you an example. Like, I was telling you, my homies wanted to watch the Tom Segura special the other day.
Mm.
And I was like, I don't want to watch it. Like, why? Because I want to see it with Alexis. And they're like, oh, what? Like, they think you don't want me to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, she doesn't even know that I'm waiting to watch it with her, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I'm choosing to do this because I appreciate her and I'm being thoughtful and I want to experience it for the first time with you.
Mm-hmm.
Not with them.
Right.
And they think I was doing that because of you, like because you don't want me to do it. And I'm like, I'm following orders or something.
Right.
And I think the idea that that's their assumption,
yeah,
is what's wrong. Like with, you know, guys. Like, yeah, like they think like if you're doing something like that, it's because you're being told
it's because of her.
Yeah, you're being controlled, as if like there's no possibility you could be thoughtful and sweet and considerate and.
Or it's maybe even a different way, like, there's no possibility that my friend wouldn't want to see this with me, and it has to be her to be the bad guy in some people's eyes,
yeah.
you
like,
know?
That's how they see it.
Like, maybe it's like a personal thing where it's like, oh, it can't, like, he can't be the one to say no, it's because of her.
I think when guys...
And it's not just in this example specifically, it's in a lot of examples I've seen or come across.
Yeah, I think when guys just assume shit like that, it's because they haven't experienced that yet within a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
That tells me that they're not willing to compromise. That tells me that...
In a relationship.
Not to judge, but I mean that it shows like a lack of experience with like consideration and compromise in a relationship, which is important.
Maybe your friends also haven't seen you as being sweet. I don't know.
I don't know. They just know I talk a lot of shit, so maybe
you do talk a lot of shit.
I'm like this.
So like, how is this guy nice?
Yeah, they don't. Well, because like, you know.
I'm just kidding.
I can see that though. Like, it's hard to imagine like the homie that's always talking shit and never serious is like
being thoughtful
and
he's actually
nice.
A really thoughtful sweetheart.
Yeah, like that's like probably hard to fathom, right? But like obviously like not everybody gets that. You're getting it, so it's like it's earned, you know.
Yes.
and it's reciprocated. I get that from you, so you get that from me, and that's what I do for you. Like, I want to love you, so it's not like I'm being forced to be this loving person. You know, I think that's the problem. Is like men feel I think as a man observing other men, that men feel emasculated when they have to be like something they're just naturally not. But I think that's their fault, and also their parents' fault, because they think like they weren't raised to be that way, like, and they assume because it's not part of the skill set or the tool set or like the personality that they're raised to have, they assume it's emasculating, it's taking away from them, they're losing control, and it's just they weren't just taught it. Like either their dad was like a jerk, or he was selfish, or he wasn't there compromising, or there with the mom, you know. And like as a man, like when you're a boy, you have to see a man treat a woman right, and see how men treat women in order to learn that. And you also have to observe women and how they feel when they're treated by men. Yeah. And it helps. Like it
also helps to ask women what they want.
Yeah.
Because I think also when I was younger, this isn't just even going to dating, it's like I didn't say what I wanted. So
what do you mean?
A normal position for me would be to not say anything that I wanted, just in general.
Yeah.
And that bled into even maybe relationships with friends, with partners, like, you know.
Yeah.
And I
stomach scrambling.
Like growing up and learning more about myself, I learned that I need to say what I want and what I don't want.
Yeah.
Because most people don't care to ask anyway.
They don't, and if you don't tell them what you want, they'll make you do what they want.
Yeah. They would step all over you.
Yeah. It's easy to take advantage of people who
don't say what they want.
Don't say shit. Yeah. You just let people do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what do you want to eat? Not what do you want to eat, but there's like, let's go eat this, because the person doesn't ever say it.
It's complex too, because there's also some women. Well, I'm only speaking in my own sexuality and experience.
Yeah. That's all we can do.
A heterosexual woman.
We can't cover all bases all the time. This is our experience.
So in my own experience, it's also like, sometimes I want you to tell me what to eat.
What to feed. What feed.
What to eat. Or just make the decision on, let's go eat this.
Yeah.
And have a plan. I think that's the most attractive thing in a partner sometimes, is just having a plan. It's not even necessarily that I want to eat Chinese food or I'm craving that. It's that you decided and you have a plan to...
You're like, I don't have to think.
To go eat Chinese food.
No.
And then we're going to go to the beach or something.
Yeah.
And it's not even because I'm craving that. Like I said, it's because you already know what we're doing. And I don't have to think. I can feel safe. I can relax.
And that's the plan.
And that's the point.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys don't know that.
I know.
I think a lot of guys don't.
So it's important to say this.
I think a lot of guys don't know, and I've seen in my friends especially, they don't know that girls want you to have a plan. They don't want you to be like, come over. What fucking girl wants you to just be like, you want to hang out? Sure. Come over. Like, what do you think she thinks is going to happen? She thinks you're going to try to fuck her. Like, and like, what girl wants to just like immediately like, okay, like, unless they just want to hook up, but like, that's so intimidating, and also not only intimidating, but it's a little inconsiderate, because it's like, that's it, you just want me to come over and just have sex to you, you don't want to like talk, laugh, like all the things that lead up to that are what should be enjoyable. Right. It shouldn't just be like, but the thing is, a lot of men, the game is to try to just get it. Yeah. And so sometimes they fuck up at realizing that the whole like way you even get women to like want to even be with you physically is to show interest in them, and to show interest in them as a human, and be like, let's have a good time, let's hang out, and then all the physical stuff happens naturally, you know, and that's more exciting.
Right. And there's this whole shift in dating now where women are a little more dominant and aggressive,
more forward,
and control, and forward with their sexuality and their desires, and that's cool and all.
Free,
I'm just saying there are still a lot of women that are a little bit tiny bit more, they're like old fashioned a little bit. I think in some sense, you know?
Most women are not like gonna be like, yeah, bone me, like let's do it. Like that, like that's not most
all the
women.
time.
That's not most women. Yeah, like, and if they do that, they're not gonna do it with some dude that they like. They're gonna do it with some dude they just want to like.
Yeah, toss
and like, you know, like, and guys think like just because they got some sex, like that's it, they won. But then, like, the girl never hit him back up again. It's like, well, you actually lost because she doesn't even want to see you again.
Like, you're not even interesting.
Yeah, you weren't interesting. You weren't even good lay, so, like, you're not getting hit up again. So, like...
And a lot of bros will still be like, it's still a win, it's still a W. But it's like, then you're alone, and then you're 50 years old in your bachelor pad that has, like,
or like
all these lame things.
Yeah, or, like, they're always going from girl to girl, and it's like, that's cool when you're young, but it's like, you know, as you get older, how lonely that must be and how, like, miserable it must be to be like, you have to constantly be working, and you're probably being phony because, like, you're constantly trying to get all these girls. It's like when you're young, it's a numbers game, right?
Yeah.
And you got to do that. You have to, like, to learn. So, like, you can't, like, not try all the ways, but when you get older, you're like, okay, I can't be, like, a fucking dog anymore, and I can't be, like, I want to be with someone. I don't want to just be like a fucking animal, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of men are like not willing to compromise because, first of all, like all the content that's out there that's like nowadays is like
a lot of content.
Women are trying to emasculate you and this and that just because they want like to be treated like humans.
A lot of content out there is now, like, very pro-sex and very just, like, it's just sex. That's it. It doesn't have to be anything more than that.
And that's so,
and
like,
I don't like
dishonest.
that all the time.
That's so dishonest because it's not, it's like sex positivity is a good thing when it's enabling of expression and love and the real like the light side of it. But the dark side of it is that like what? Like you're telling me like, oh, sex is just sex and that's it then? You're telling me there's no like biological functionality behind this? You're telling me there's no like, you're telling me women really seriously can just have sex with a bunch of dudes and not form some sort of emotional attachment, some sort of biological like inclination towards this person? Like if you study biology, you know that men and women are like intrinsically bonded through like hormones and pheromones and things that are outside of our control and like perception that we're not actively like perceiving or aware of, and a lot of that takes play into our relationships. And so like it's harmful to just be like, yeah, you can just go have sex with as many people as you want, guy or girl, like you can do anything you want. Like you could, but it doesn't mean to do it. And like to be unsafe or to be like dishonest with people. That's or a liar or a cheater.
To point out, it's just being safe as well, because I think like, you know, everyone has their own sexual freedom and stuff, but like being safe is really important.
Yeah, being safe.
I know that sounds boring and prudish, but like still it's if you're gonna have like so many partners and stuff, like I think that's important.
Be safe and be considerate. Like what? Just because you want to be with everybody, the person you're gonna be with next wants to be with everyone that you were with, and like
I don't like how you said that.
Why?
Because it's just the way you worded it. It's like, okay, well, don't see it that way. It's just more.
No, I'm saying like, let me reword it.
You can Let
me reword it. If you're like a guy who wants to fuck a bunch of girls without a condom on, and then you're going to go bone some other chick, you're not going to tell her, I've had sex with all these people before, and I've never gotten tested, I've never gotten, and I do it without a condom all the time. That's inconsiderate, because you're pushing your lifestyle, your sex positivity.
Okay.
which is irresponsible sex positivity, onto someone who doesn't even live that lifestyle. That's so like inconsiderate.
Yeah, someone you tricked.
Someone you tricked who's trusting you with their body.
Yeah.
You're like, you're not even being honest. Like, I've never been tested. I've never used a condom. Like, you have to talk about these things as you get older and you're an adult, having adult relationships with people, even if it's just hookups. Like, you gotta let people know what's up, and if you're not gonna let them know, then you gotta get tested and be safe, right?
Yeah.
And at least wear a condom. Like, fuck, like, do shit that's like considerate and safe. Because then motherfuckers have kids with all these chicks, and then these chicks are like, men are deadbeats, and it's like the dude that's like, you know, like, yeah, there's some men are being fucking deadbeats because they're just like not protecting either party when they're having sex with people, and like,
they're not being considerate.
Yeah, and obviously it takes two, you know, like guys and girls, but still, like, you're the one who has like it's like you got the thing that's going on in someone, like.
Yes. That's why I think communication is still important. Like, I don't think you should just have sex with somebody just to have sex with somebody, to get your numbers up, whether you're a guy or girl.
Or just to get, like, the
whether you're just trying to, like,
gone.
Yeah, some feeling.
It's very, like, this idea, like, sex positivity is toxic in that sense because it does enable people.
Ooh, interesting.
It does enable people to do toxic things under the guise of sex positivity.
I guess that's true. I also think that there are some people that are very, like, super sex positive and liberated.
Yeah.
But the thing with making this, like, a trend or whatever is happening right now, it's very toxic for sheep-like people. Who just, like, follow into memes and follow into, like, meme culture and being, like, just about...
Being a meme.
Being a meme and being on fucking Tinder and being like, okay, I haven't said more than, like, 12 words to this girl or guy, and now we're gonna have sex, cool. And then I have a funny story to write on my Twitter account. Or Threads.
It's just very, like, empty. It's like you're an empty person.
Yeah,
and
I don't like empty
like
people that talk like they're memes. That's a pet peeve I have.
Well, the thing is, a lot of people don't have personalities because they're like, the only time they interact in a substantial way with people is through texts on social media, and that's not even them. That's just like this person that they're trying to convey through like word, through text online,
in a platform of control where they get to control
the perspective.
The person's perspective of who they are. Yes.
Yeah.
That's why social media can be really toxic.
Yeah, with their content and what they choose, like they can.
This is who I am.
Yeah, they can make you think there's somebody, and then you meet them, and you're like, this is the most boring person I've ever met. No personality, no sense of humor. But like online, you're like you want to be this
interesting
cool
people
person.
have like 130 followers and like they just
or they
talk
just
a lot.
Yeah, or they just like
and they have like
post themselves
those funny selfie pictures.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think like I think that a lot of people get away without having a personality now because they replace it with things like, oh, I'm into sex positivity. And you're like, well, that's just like a thing that just exists. So like that's not you.
Yeah.
That's like. And that's not like some sort of like trend. It shouldn't be some sort of trend. It should just be an aspect of like life and society that we acknowledge and we see now and, you know, in the modern age, and then we work around it, you know. But it shouldn't be like, that's all I am, that's all I care about, and that means I'm going to be unaccountable and I'm going to be irresponsible because I'm sex positive and you're sex negative. You know, like... You're
old school and you're living by the old rules of what sex should be and is.
You're restrictive and oppressive. Like, that's, like, such bullshit.
That's a little toxic, too.
It's toxic to be a little too woke sometimes, I think.
That's another conversation.
Yeah, that's not... We don't have enough time for that, but...
We only have 10 minutes.
But you do need to, like, be accountable. And you do need to compromise with people. Especially if you're a man and you want to have a... If you are a man who wants to be in a relationship with anybody, if you're fucking gay or you're straight or you're bi or whatever you are into, you have to be willing to compromise with people. Because even outside of romantic relationships, like obviously we said, we're only talking from our experiences as a heterosexual couple.
Right.
And having had heterosexual relationships. I don't know what it's like to be with a dude, and having homies there, dudes, I wouldn't want to be with one because like they're fucking annoying and unaccountable. So it must be annoying to be gay sometimes. Probably.
So you mentioned.
I can't even imagine what it's like when all these men were just unaccountable and just like.
That's the thing. You mentioned compromise, and then I think the next important key term is being accountable.
Accountability, yeah.
Being compromising and being accountable are so important, and also being aware. And I know
self-awareness,
being
right?
self-aware is part of accountability. Yes,
but they're not like mutually exclusive, right?
And so that's just like those are important because it's like you think caring about the other person is the most important thing to keep in a relationship, but it's not. It's actually being aware of who the fuck you are.
It actually doesn't even matter.
And how you're treating this person and being considerate. You know, just like being considerate is being self-aware and like realizing what you're doing or what you are saying and how maybe those things can hurt people.
Yeah.
Or those things can make people feel a certain way.
Exactly.
Especially, and I'm talking in terms of like your partner, like somebody you actually intend to care about.
Yeah, someone you're with in a relationship, romantic relationship.
Not like fucking random people.
Yeah, someone you're dating, like,
yeah.
What? That's bullshit. Like, you're not even anything. So, like, I like what you said, though. It's not about what, like, how you care. Because you could say, I care about you so much. Oh, God, I love this person so much. But then it's like, you don't compromise with this person. You don't respect boundaries. You don't want to see eye to eye on anything. You don't want to concede in any way. Then how do you care about this person if you just want to do it your way and you want them to just bend to your will? Like, that's
and
not
care. You just are putting this person on this pedestal of what you want them to be.
Yeah.
And then you're doing like this whole like praising and doing all this crazy, and it's like, but that's not what they even want. And then if they were a normal person, it's probably not what they want actually. No, they probably want you to talk to them like they're human.
They want to be seen.
And
yeah, I think you know, like, a lot of men, like, they separate women a little too much from what they believe they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like, you know, I was, like, okay, you know, I was raised, like, in a house full of women, so, like, I've never been, like, what is going on with women, because I grew up with a bunch of women who talk too much, and I always knew what they're, like, going through and what was happening and how they thought, and it was never, like, too far from, as I got older, how I was feeling about reality and adulthood and life, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, yeah, like, sexually and biologically we're very different, but, like, in terms of, like, as people, well, it's not so different. Like, talking to a woman as a man is not so different. You don't need to, like, approach women as if they're another species or treat them like they're another species. Like, especially, like, if you're attracted to them, it's obviously that even makes it more like men don't know how to act, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think, like, it's just, like, you need to, like, have, what is it, like, equal footing, like, in an interaction with someone in order for there, like, to have trust be built and vulnerability can happen and all the things that lead to, like, attraction and to, like, admirability and just love, you know, like, all the things that are conducive to love. How could you possibly, like, facilitate something like that if you're treating this person like they're not human or like they're not like you in any way? They're just, like, this, like, unattainable thing, this, like, object that can be collected, like,
right,
you know, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, how that happened, you know, like, with men.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't think I had a chance with you when I first started dating you, but I didn't care. Right?
Oh, yes.
And I've had people, like, make comments because they don't, I don't know, maybe they think you're out of my league or something. But you're not.
You're not.
Yeah.
We're in league together.
Yeah, we're in our own league. Because I don't, like, subscribe to that shit. Because I know it doesn't matter.
Right.
Obviously, you know, I'm like, if I was, like, some super hideous dude, then I would guess it would be different. It'd be even more probably remarkable. But, like, I'm not, like, you know, I'm not Brad Pitt over here, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the idea of, if I let myself give into the insecurities I had
Mm-hmm.
about approaching you, I'm not the guy that I thought maybe you would be into. But that didn't matter to me because it doesn't matter. I know who I am, and I know what I have to offer, and I know I like this person, and I enjoy them, and I want to spend more time with them.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And that's how I've always been. So, like, it's like, obviously you need to have confidence, you know, in yourself.
Maybe not so confident.
You don't need to be cocky, but, like, you know.
There's a difference.
There's a difference. But you need to be confident and secure in who you are.
Yes.
And what you can be.
That's important.
And who you're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that in you. And I loved it. And that's it. That's how we got here in this podcast. I don't even know how we got to this topic, but...
I was initially asking you...
about advice.
Yes.
For men who don't want to compromise in relationships.
Right.
Yeah, I think I said basically you have to compromise. Like, if you want to be in a relationship with someone as an adult...
Like, you know what? Men and women also.
Yeah, let's actually not just leave it on men, because women also need to realize they need to compromise. I'm not saying, like, you specifically, because you're great. I mean, just, like, a lot of women think they don't have to compromise, or that they're as if, like, because they have, like, a vagina that's all, like, they don't need to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the end all be all, and it's not. Like, there's more than a million, there's billions of vaginas in the world. And there's billions of dicks in the world. So it's like, you know, like, you have to have something more to offer than just your body.
True.
You have to be able to offer more than that. If you don't, then you're going to be treated like someone who only has that to offer.
Yes, I think it's important for women and men and everyone else.
Yeah.
To fucking compromise and be self-aware of who you are and what you're saying, and
be down to earth.
Yeah, humble yourself and realize, like, would you want to be in that person's shoes as you're saying these things?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Would you, like, just put yourself in other people's shoes, and I think that's an important thing.
Let's talk about something real quick before we wrap up.
Okay.
Did you see that shit about Jonah Hill and his girlfriend?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think about that? Do you think he was wrong, or do you think he was right?
She said that, well, she stated two things. That he's a narcissist
and a misogynist.
Yes.
How?
Okay. First of all, I was looking to see, like, how that was a form of narcissism.
The narcissism is debatable. I'm sure in other ways he might be, but... He's an actor, right? So he's got to be somewhat of a narcissist. But misogynist?
From what I know is that she actually does as a career.
Okay.
And he hit on her prior to that photo or whatever. She had plenty of photos of her in her bikini, and
he hit on her prior to that. They were together though.
No, prior he went into her DMs. He hit on her.
Okay.
Knowing who she was and what type of pictures she posted on her social media.
And then when he was dating her, when he sent her this text.
Yes. Which is why it changes, like, the whole perspective. Because he did know what he was getting into. He knew what kind of career she was doing or what she was aiming for. So, I don't see the claims that she's stating, but I do see it as a form of him being controlling, and that is toxic.
You think it was kind of controlling?
Yeah. If he already knew what he was getting into and knew what type of photos she was posting, he knew what was going on already.
I think the photo thing was something I was a little bit conflicted on, because I was like, if this is what she does, you can't ask her not to do that. And I was like, a lot of girls think they're models on Instagram, so that's like, if you're hot,
I mean, it's a little similar to the Keke Palmer thing too.
A little bit,
in a weird way, because it's like she was, women could wear whatever the fuck they want.
That's totally different though. Like, she was just getting sung to by Usher on her birthday. Like, it's not like Usher took her away,
We don't have a lot of time left.
I don't think Jonah's a misogynist for setting some boundaries with his girlfriend. At least in this anecdote, I don't think he's misogynistic. I don't think men are misogynistic for having boundaries and expectations.
I don't know. I don't know. I still have to think about it and maybe, like,
Well,
I don't
if you
even
read
need
the
a
first
weird
part
about
of
it.
the text, she's like,
She
the
just-
surfer dudes. And
She just stated very bold claims that I was like, I don't know if these 2 screenshots sum it up.
You know what?
Anyway.
Jonahs lame.
Bye.
Bye.